Hello, greetings. This is Gilles Mancion. I am called to return here to continue to speak, to continue to share ideas about about the spiritual ascension process. For it is a very difficult time. We are right in the midst of a great transition, and for when we fully live in our ego without any consciousness of the eternal soul, life goes as usual. But as we challenge that and we start tuning into our inner self, we are called to face all kinds of things for transmutation. Yet once we started this process, we have no longer the choice to return back to the old self. And so we are here to assist and support each other. For when we work in the light, we are always assisted by the light. There is invisible presence that are always in assistance, that are working in the light. For what we call the company of heaven is all those that are all on all dimensions, that are working for God, that are working for the highest good of all. That means the galactic, the ascended master, the angels, the archangels, the spirit realm, spiritual hierarchies, and so on. For there are big events that are announced that will probably shake the world to its core. For there is a need for that to save not to save, but to transform our perspective of reality. And so follow your inner guidance, follow your inner intuition. If you are called to do something, follow that inner self. Because once the events it's like a storm. When the events will come into the world, in the big cities may be very, very shaken up, because there will be some people that are not aware of what's going on, maybe come into the state of panic. But if you're serving the light, you will be guided and assisted by invisible presence to fulfill your function and your role within that big event that is coming. For we all have the answer within ourselves. It's the only place we're going to find. I do not know what's for your highest good, but you should know what's for your highest good. As you tune into your inner self, nobody else should tell you what's your highest good and how to serve your highest good and the highest good of all. For that is really, there should be no... do not let anybody tell you that. Surrounded to your inner self, your inner guide. I wanted to speak about this great famous Oracle of Delphi. It's the Oracle of Apollon. We can recognize, for those who can accept that those beings, like Apollon is a great divine being with immortal consciousness, eternal wisdom, and he's revealed this oracle: know thyself, nothing more, epsilon. And so, know thyself. It's not about knowing who we are as an ego, although it is part of all that is our quarks, and everything is part of who we are now. But it's recognizing ourselves as an eternal being of love and light, and nothing more. It means there is so many things that we have in our life that's superfluous, that is harmful to ourselves. So we want to remove step by step all those things that are superfluous. And what do we need to let go in order to embody our true self, our God self, to become more of that love and light, that truth, beauty, and goodness? For we do not want to judge ourselves. We want to let go of all judgment in relationship to our quarks and lower self. Sometimes I recognize that my higher mind is far more intelligent and optimistic as my lower mind. Sometimes in this phase of transition, I go from like extreme. The extreme doesn't last as long, but they go deep and they go all the way up to the light and all the way down into the bottom pit. And I'm like, but my higher self is still supporting me through the process, and eventually I will release all the lower self. So help me God. And so, but the great mystery about this oracle there's been many questions. For it is an oracle that's like thousands of years old. Is epsilon, the E at the end? So I'm just going to share my idea, what I believe it is. For as human beings, we have brain waves. We emit brain waves. There are 5 different categories of brain waves. The beta waves, that is fully connected to the outside world. The alpha states, where it's like we are inside and connected to the outside. The theta states, where it's like we go deeper inside, we disconnect from the outside world. It's like deep meditation. And the delta states, where we go fully inside. It's like when we're in sleep, for instance, deep sleep, we go into delta state, and then from that delta state we move into the gamma state, which is the state where genius ideas come from, the hyperspace of the 4th dimension. It is where all the creative genius ideas come from. For those are the 5 different brainwave we are capable at this point to manifest. But above the gamma there is the super gamma, and above the which is like the fifth dimension, then there is the lambda, which is sixth dimension, and there is the epsilon frequency, which is the seventh dimension, which is the dimension of the ascended master. For we have to, our consciousness will eventually rise and integrate this and we'll be able to merge our higher and lower self, so there will be no more lower self. It will be our higher self that will be dominant within ourselves. We will know ourselves. And so I also wanted to say that the other day I talked about the last days of Socrates. It's like Socrates knew that he knew nothing, but this afterlife was greater than this life. And it wasn't in the Apology of Socrates, he was in Phaedon, the book of Plato named Phaedon. I'm sorry, I apologize, I made a misquotation. And Socrates had to face death with a great deal of stoicism. He kept a lot of dignity, although he was condemned to death in a very, very unfair manner. And he was a very important French philosopher named Jean-Jacques Rousseau. That was in the 18th century. He was entrapped in the jails of the Inquisition in the Bastille in France, and during this time he tried to transcribe to translate the Apology of Socrates and Phaedon, and he realized that he did not have as much courage in facing death that Socrates had. For we have to realize that this life is very difficult, the system of life. When you look at the statistics, there is every hour in France there is one person that commits suicide. Where in the world there is every 4 seconds there is somebody that kills himself. It's like, for we have free will, we can do anything we want. But if we are chosen, if we are given life, it's much better to go through the whole process no matter what happened, because of course somebody who's like 90 years old who commits suicide, there is no prejudice, we have free will, and it's like but if somebody is very young commits suicide, usually is been sent into the astral plane and is being shown that all the wonderful thing that he could have been through the life once the obstacle will pass. So it is better to accept suffering. For there was a philosopher named Sepulveda, who was a 16th century Catholic philosopher, who had this belief that if we to secure in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, there is this common understanding that if we have a good life, we will be able to live with God forever. When in the East, the Buddha, Confucius, Lao Tse will tell you, be in God, with God now. Do not wait for the afterlife, for there is only now, here and now. Yet there is this understanding, and Sepulveda thought that to secure your relationship with God, your eternal well-being with God in the afterlife, is more precious than anything that can happen in this life. Even if your life on the earth has to be miserable, to secure your truth and value in this life is more precious. But that doesn't mean that we need to sacrifice ourselves, for that was in the 16th century. It's very different, things have evolved. And so we want to move into this sphere now, but it's still the understanding that our eternal self has to be prioritized, our value. It's like, it's not about being martyr. But yet it's like death has not. There is nothing to be feared about death. For if we are really sick, for instance, death is liberate us. But we still want to find a way to be as healthy, as wealthy, and as wise as possible. I was also wanted to discuss an idea that. We're going to come into the realization of more understanding about quantum physics, this quantum state within ourselves. There was I started speaking about the philosopher, a scientist named Max Planck. For Planck time is 10 power minus 43, and Planck space is 10 minus 35. Which is what is defined as the smallest measuration of space and the smallest measuration of time. And yet, when they discovered that, it's like they still do not get it, because the only conclusion they made is that they came to the conclusion of the Big Bang, that in 13 billion years. In the Urantia book, The Revelation of the Urantia, they explain that our own local universe, the star cloud of Nebadon, which swings around the great central sun of Alcyon in the Pleiades, is a young universe. That was in the Milky Way galaxy. But even in this young universe, that's like only half, about a bit more than halfway stabilized. There is the oldest system in these systems in this universe was stabilized about 200 billion years ago. So we'll come to realize the universe, our galaxy and the universe is far, far, far older. For what was very important about Planck, about Bohr and Einstein is that they contradicted the laws of Newton. Newton was very important scientist, because before that there was he wasn't alone. There was Galilei and Copernic and all kind of other scientists of his time, but. Before that, there was the laws of Aristotle, which were completely fake, and Newton arrived with new equations that started to stabilize the understanding of science and how to understand the physical material world. Yet the law of quantum physics challenged all that, and eventually we'll have to challenge the laws of Newton, Bohr, and Einstein in order to grow, to move more. Because originally, the humanity in the time of Lemuria all life was known, for we were all connected to this tree of knowledge, this tree of life. But then there were some darker forces. It's a very, very ancient, again, the very, very ancient forces, or the Luciferian forces, that contradicted that with the tree of good and evil. And the tree of good and evil helped them to separate, to control, to manipulate, to enslave, when the tree of light was liberating. And so there is those two, but yet it is the end of a cycle. So all those forces will be freed up, and humanity will be freed up at the end of the program. But I'm just expressing some thoughts and ideas. After that, just see what resonates with you. And for when we accelerate our frequency, for our physical body is made of cells. Even in the physical world, contemporary science knows that we are made of physical cells. The cells are made of molecules. Molecules are made of atoms, and atoms are made of proton and electrons. The electrons swinging around the proton, and they go very fast. There is three circuits of energies of the atoms, depending on how many there are. But the innermost atomic electronic circuits around the proton goes almost, it cannot be really deciphered from the proton because of it's going so fast, but it's slower than the speed of light. As we accelerate our frequency, all the atoms within our physical body are being accelerated up to the point where they fuse within the light, at which point each atom is being expanded and our light body ignites. For we have a light body that's existing parallelly, that's like held within on the bottom of our spines, which will be ignited. We have to understand that every word we speak, if they're positive, they accelerate the process of manifestation of our light body. If they're negative, they slow down our frequency. For we are beings that are always in vibration. Atoms are always in vibration, and we are vibratory beings, just as the sun and the galaxies and everybody else. And so be positive and kind with your word. Do not use words to hurt people. I always it's like in France there was this political person who was, I'm sure he's kind and well intended, but he says that knowledge is like a weapon. It's like, whoa, it's like sophistry, it's like, be careful. And the library is like an arsenal. What do we need to hurt to use weapons? So we do not want to use our words as weapons. We want to use our words to comfort and elevate. And so But he's still a philosopher, and so I appreciate all everybody who's interested in philosophy. I also wanted to say to salute, because all the ecologists and all for it's like there is all those forces that everybody's awakening to the need for more ecology, and but in every field there is people that are in love with nature. There are people that are dedicated their life to the well-being of trees. Also people that have dedicated to the well-being of the ocean, of the cetacean, of the birds, of the insects, of the reptile, and all those people are they're wonderful. They're dedicated, whether they're scientists or organization or groups of and they're this love that they give is more powerful even. It's what keeps the program running, because animals need to be, and trees and the planet needs to be loved, needs to know that we love her, love them. And so also to finish this, I'm sorry, I just deviated. Also, when we eat food, whatever we eat and ingurgitates, everything that we ingurgitate either accelerate the frequency of our physical body or slows it down. And so we want to move more towards alkaline food than acidic food. So in order to accelerate this purification, sometimes I feel I've abused my body through a lifestyle for like decades, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to completely clear up all those toxins that I have within my physical body. Spirit believes that it is possible, that I will achieve it. So I'm gonna trust that because it comes from my higher mind. But even if I don't, it will serve me in my future life, my future existence. Although Spirit says that I'm not really sure I will reincarnate on this planet. I don't think I will have any need for. I have served this world for a very long time, through many incarnations, as we all have, and. For we want to connect to our God self, because God is the greatest potential which we can achieve, and to see this divine potential is already great. It's already to be abandoned to it and to fuse, to merge our consciousness. Yet there's nothing to worry about, because nobody in humanity has fully achieved that. Otherwise, until we achieve total mastery, like the Christ, the Buddha, and all the ascended master, it's important to call on those. I've always said that yesterday, to call on the Archangel Michael, the Archangel Metatron, the Archangel Melchizedek, the Goddess, the Master Saint Germain, which is the hierarch of the New Age. All those beings, is like, it's good to call them on every day. Every day we need to call on them until it becomes a natural aspect of ourselves, a natural connection. But we need to repeat that again and again and again and again until it's anchored. I'm just offering some ideas and just. For I'm not. I have in my aspiration to seek to make a connection with my God self. The God does not let me live a normal human life. It wants me to cleanse myself in order to achieve that. But it's like it's still a challenge. But I trust my higher self in that sense. I'm going to pull a few cards. The highest wisdom for us today is the baby. It's about being born, reborn in spirit, to be a new self, to let go of our higher self and to trust our inner self, to be reborn in spirit. What we need to understand is trust and faith. What we need to do is alimentation of anger. It is about mastering our senses. It's about understanding our craving, to overcome some of those cravings, of those things that we know are no longer that good for us. Which is not easy, because we're conditioned. There's these cellular memories that are repeating this cycle over and over again. For Socrates believed that he would only eat and drink when he was hungry or thirsty. He would never do it for pleasure, just for pleasure. Yet there is the master of wisdom taught who inform us of a higher form of wisdom, which is, when you're hungry or thirsty, do not eat or do not drink. Allow yourself to deal with the anger and the thirst. Once it's dealt with and it has passed, then you can eat, then you can drink. Well, it's just an idea, but and it's not something necessarily to do all the time. It is an understanding. For even in the Truth by God, God explains that we are submissive to our visceral entity, our physical body, our eyes, our nose, our mouth, our ears. We become, and those are children. They do not know wisdom. So the soul has to take control of all those bunch of visceral entity to bring them to tune in towards the inner light, the inner sun, in order to educate them progressively, so they can accept to move into this sphere of wisdom and allow to flow with the flow, to flow with the one unity. And the outcome is the art. It's about being more creative, accepting, to using the art to embellish the quality of our life. Well, I hope this message was interesting for you. The painting behind me is a painting on cosmology that took me years to put together, this one-piece painting. And I'm starting to wonder if I should not change the color of that part here, which says SUNA. For this, it's all organized. This painting is all organized. It's a symbolic painting around the great I am. The great I am being the universal Father, the eternal Son, and the infinite Spirit. Those are three primal unities that are eternally connected and one on paradise. And they are the great I am, the infinity. Although the Father is a source of all, there's still they're unchanging, they're existential. Yet there are three levels of divine realization, which is supremacy, ultimacy, and absoluteness. And those signs are symbolic. And I'm thinking about maybe changing the color of it so it stands out more. For what we need to realize is supremacy. It's what which is true, what which is good, and what which is and beautiful. Truth, beauty, and goodness, which is the Platonician ideals and also Christian ideals, is the realization of supremacy, the mastery of time and space. For we live in the finite incomplete, and as we complete the finite, we move into supremacy, and we will find God behind the supreme. And yet we will know nothing of the ultimate, which is the fourth level of transcendental level, beyond what is beyond that which is good, beyond that which is true, and beyond that which is beautiful. There's so many that needs to, and then we'll probably, as we explore that realm, we'll find eventually the ultimate, the master universe. For the supreme is the mastery of the grand universe, the seventh phase of the grand universe. Then there is ever expanding level of cosmic universe that will which will eventually expand infinitely or near infinitely, that will call the master universe. As we realize that, we'll master the understanding, we'll meet the supreme, we will probably find God behind the universal father, behind the ultimate, and then the supreme ultimate. But then the absolute is yet another something completely else that will never change. It is so it is. But within I am presence, this divine minister that is our true self, is actually an absolute being. It's those prepersonal spirits are supreme, ultimate, and absolute. So they are magnificent beyond my ability to comprehend. But I am always grateful that I have made that contact, and we all have this connection. We need to work on our desire to align ourselves with the will of God, to do the will of the Father in heaven, as the Christ would say, my friend Sananda, Jesus, Joshua. Well, I hope this message was interesting for you. Of course, I'm not trying to promote any. This is not about religion. It is not about. It's not even about belief. It's about discovering this higher truth and to tune into that truth, no matter what the world may reflect us, to be more attuned to that inner self than the illusion of the outer world, so that we can transform this world into the heaven that it is. I'm going to finish with a song that I just came through my mind, and I thought I'll sing it just to finish in music. It's a song by Sting. It goes like this. Every breath you take, every move you make, every bond you break, every step you take, I'll be watching you. Every single day, every word you say, every game you play, every night you stay, I'll be watching you. Oh, can't you see, you belong to me. My poor heart aches with every step you take. Every move you make, every vow you break, every smile you fake, every claim you stake, I'll be watching you. Since you've been gone, I've been lost without a trace. I dream at night, I can only see your face. I look around, but it's you I can't replace. I feel so cold and I long for your embrace. I keep crying, baby, baby, please. Oh, can't you see? You belong to me. My poor heart aches with every step you take, every move you make, every vow you break, every smile you fake, every claim you stake, I'll be watching you. Well, thank you very much for sticking till the end. I'll pull a last card. It's the Magician. It's the Archangel Raziel. Tell life what you expect, as by magic what you wish appears. Beginning that are crowned with success. So all kinds of things are possible. Let us surrender to that possibility of joy and happiness and liberation. I thank you very much for liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, and I wish you a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Namaste.